Good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Pitch Track Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tash. I am here with Rob and Donald. And I want to take another angle on this offseason, as it's been a little slow and steady, I think is a fair way to put it. But after the Soto deal, we were all championing how the Yankees went back and the Evil Empires returned. And then it kind of went silent after Yamamoto decided to screw us. Right? Is the Empire ready to strike again when it comes to the rest of to a pitching market that is there? It almost seems like the players are outpricing themselves amongst the teams. That they're not necessarily just being hard negotiators. Are they pricing themselves out where they're causing teams not to be aggressive?
I think the Yankees are being smart. Look, I said it. I want them to make a move. Right? I want a pitcher more than anything because I want something to talk about instead of just speculation or trade idea. This or should they or shouldn't they trade so and so. I want a pitcher, but I don't want them to be stupid and give money to guys that aren't really great. And that's what we're seeing in this market is. The pricing for some of these pitchers is more than I think anyone would have thought it would be. Sean Manaea, who pitched mostly out of the bullpen last year, just got $14 million a year. And everyone's getting an option for a second year, but Montas got 14 with $2 million incentives. Severino, 13 with $2 million incentives. So you're seeing all these moves and you're like, okay, I'm Giolito, 19 with an option for a second year. You're glad the Yankees aren't doing these things, although these guys would help the rotation because we still don't have a fifth starter, but they're also not overspending and they're not panic spending, which is a good sign. Every move they've made so far has been a good move. No one will argue the Soto trade. No one is going to argue the Verdugo trade, or they shouldn't, because we improved the roster. No one's going to argue those minor league signings to help the bullpen and the Cody Poteet move. It's a small move that's going to give us some depth. So until we know who the guy is, I don't think the Yankees we're not going to see a move until they decide who it is. Because is it Snell? Is the pricing too high for Snell? Is it too high for Monty? Or do they want to trade prospects for Cease or for Burns if he's available? Are they really talking to the Marlins, or is that just smoke and mirrors? So until we find out something, some actual news, everything is just kind of speculation from all these reporters that has been the worst reported offseason I can remember. So until we get an actual news from Jeff Passan or Jack Curry, I'm just going to keep looking at Twitter and hope that we get something concrete to go on because everything's just speculation at this point.
Don, what do you think about the cost of pitching at this point?
Well, obviously the cost will be sky high. Because other teams know that the Yankees have a need, so that'll affect the trade negotiations to some extent because they can ask high, and the pitching market is through the roof in free agency because the Yamamoto deal. So it's definitely a cause and effect situation, but I really want to. Thank everyone in the chat. The chat is absolutely jumping. So I want to say morning to Jonathan, Stevie B, to F Diver, to NFE. What is up, my guy? NFE, Stevie B, Damian Serrano, Dev Bench, Loyal, Chris Northrup. Hey, good job. And Damian. We have CWE. Good to see you, CWE. Mr. Barrels. Good to see you too. Nelson Cruz. And we've got, I'm just going to stick with DabX, if you don't mind. And Anthony Garcia. Anyone else? Oh, we got Krista Flash in there. What up? And So that's it's just awesome to see everybody in the chat bright and early, and we really do appreciate it. Back to the original question, I would say that from what I've heard, that the Yankees are in on Blake Snell, but the prices obviously aren't matching what the Yankees are hoping to pay. So apparently they're not close to Snell right now, and they're not close with Montgomery right now. And they're also in on Luzardo. They're in on the trade with the Marlins for Luzardo, but and apparently serious negotiations with Luzardo. So that'll be interesting to pay attention to. And they've also checked in on Bieber and Dylan Cease. So those are the names that I've heard over the weekend. I don't know the players involved, but if you're hearing things like serious talks, that means that players have been discussed, and so we will see what happens. But it is slow but steady. I'll surely say that. And it'll be interesting to know how these negotiations with Blake Snell are going. You know, like where's the disparity? Because if you're reading things like the Yankees aren't close to Blake Snell, but they're in on him, there's obviously a big disparity. Is Boris got like a crazy demands, or is Cashman just looking to get him on a cheap kind of deal? Like, I'm not quite sure, but we'll certainly be paying attention to that.
Yeah, it's going to be, we're in on everybody, as we should be. That's just the way that the free agent season goes. If you're, it's very rare that the Yankees are just like, look, we're not in on this guy. We're just not interested. I think the one that we're hearing about right now, I think you got to get it out of the way. There was a report that came out that Marcus Strowman is interested in coming to the Yankees. And we all had a nice laugh about it last night on the 4-Train Express show. Here's a guy that burned his bridge with the Yankees, the players, and the fans. Now that nobody wants him, now he wants to be a Yankee. It's that's the only play I could think of where they're like, you know what, we're not even touching that. Just go away. We're not interested.
That's interesting to me because, like, it tells me that the Yankees do have their ear to the ground, because usually if a player comes to them and says, hey, I want to sign with you, and especially if it's a start. Look, Strowman did have a good year last year, and he would definitely make our rotation better. The fact that the Yankees said, nah, not at all. That tells me they got their ear to the ground. They pay attention to Twitter. They pay attention to what the fans are saying. They know there'd be a huge backlash from the fans if they sign Marcus Strowman, even to a 1-year deal worth, like, I don't know, $18 million. People would still would be angry because everything this guy has done to the fan base on Twitter. He's blocked like 80% of the people on Twitter. I haven't been blocked by him yet, but maybe that's a goal of mine this season. We'll see. I don't know what his deal is, why he hates the Yankees fans so much. Well, I know why. It's because they didn't trade for him a few years ago. But he wants to be a Yankee, and he's better than all of these pitchers that we've seen get signed so far, besides Yamamoto. And yet the Yankees are telling him no. I think that's pretty interesting. And that tells me that they know that there's going to be a backlash. And also they've seen the things he said about the Yankees, not about the fans, but about the team. Like, oh, your payroll and blah, blah, blah. You're just mad about so-and-so. They're like, all right, well, guess what? Go find a job elsewhere. And I'm actually proud of the front office for that. I think that's actually a pretty ballsy thing to do, especially when you need pitching as much as they do, to tell a guy, no, you've burned your bridges with us. And that's all his fault, because he could have just kept his mouth shut about the Yankees, and he probably would be a Yankee right now if he had just kept his mouth shut on Twitter. So that to me, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Donald, before we get your take, if you're enjoying the conversation, if you're enjoying the channel, hit that like button, hit that subscription button. If you want to share this with anybody, now is the time because this conversation is going to continue to be strolling along and will most likely get more interesting. For short, because I want to bring up this comment from Mr. Barrows here, because I had a few opinions on this yesterday or last night. And as much as we were not a big fan of this guy, actually, before we even do Donald, I didn't catch your take on Marcus Strowman.
I don't know, because I just read Nightingale's tweet to say that the Yankees have talked to Strowman. I don't want to do with Marcus Strowman. I want nothing to do with him. And I don't believe that it's. I don't believe it's real. I don't believe that Strowman will be a Yankee at the end of the day. I'd be shocked. I would be absolutely shocked. I do think that Strowman has burnt all his bridges, and I don't see that as a realistic possibility. And yeah, I think that had he kept his mouth shut and didn't have some sort of weird complex, then you'd probably see him signed as a fifth starter. But he has burned all his bridges. Absolutely. He's a weird little guy.
Yeah, the way he handled that trade deadline and the way he threw a fit. Like, how do you expect to just turn around and be like, all right, I'll you know what? I didn't mean that. I was only kidding. It's ridiculous.
It's like a bad ex. They did everything wrong, and they was like, hey, you know what? On second thought.
I know that all too well.
But I do want to get this Band-Aid off. All right. Because we have been avoiding it to a degree. Mr. Barrows puts out here, trying to find out what we think the problem would be if possible if we go after Trevor Bauer. I really think he would work out well on a 1-year deal. I'm going to put my 2 cents in. I know that I feel free to disagree. You guys, anybody in the chat, but prior to his interviews and his kind of campaign for redemption, one of the things that I tried to keep in mind, I was listening to his interview on The Fan with BT and Sal. He's a very smart baseball guy. He has still been pitching. It's not like he's been sitting at home just waiting for all the smoke to clear. Okay. And one of the things that I believe in are second chances. Especially when things went as wrong as they did for him. If he had gotten, if it had shown that he did what he did, I would still be a very hard no on him. But the fact that it came out where he was kind of getting blackmailed a little bit, maybe it's not something that we need to hold against him to this extent where we don't want somebody of his caliber on our team. So I think that he's somebody, if they're able to get him for a 1-year deal, 1-year prove-it deal, I think it's something the Yankees need to really look into. What's your guys' take on that and your opinions on the whole situation with Bauer?
The reason why I don't think they do it is because day one of spring training, it's going to be, instead of Garrett Cole, how are you going to follow up a Cy Young season? It's going to be, can you coexist with Trevor Bauer? It's going to be like a WWE storyline. Can they coexist? They're going to be asking Judge, as the captain of this team, how do you make sure the locker room and the clubhouse is banded together? Even if I believe in second chances and all that stuff, I don't believe everything that was alleged towards him is true, because a lot of that stuff it seemed very shaky from the start, and he's gone through a lot to prove his innocence. And I've seen his YouTube stuff. He's got a great mind for the sport, but you're talking about a team that's trying to go win a World Series that just got Juan Soto, and you want the conversation to be about the the teammates of Judge and Soto, how are they getting along and things like that, and the dynamic between the two of them, the new look outfield, and hopefully the new look rotation. How's Rodon going to bounce back and all these things? You're going to get Boone's going to get asked questions about Bauer and all this stuff. And also a lot of the same fans that are saying bring him back were so against bringing in Verdugo. They were so quick to be like, oh, this guy's got a clubhouse problem. This guy had allegations against him in 2015 or whatever the year was. But now it's Bauer deserves a second chance. You were so against Verdugo, but you want Bauer. Which one is it? You should hate Bauer as much as you hate Verdugo. Because they were both just allegations towards the player. I don't think they sign him. I'm not saying that nobody should sign him. I think he's going to end up going somewhere. Maybe he goes back to Japan for a year and lets all the legal stuff go out because he still has another case, I think, that has to be settled. So what's going to happen like mid-season if he has to go to court or something? Who knows what's going to happen there? I just think it's going to cause too much of him. He did. Someone brought it up immediately. Yep. Some stupid idiot on Twitter brought it up immediately after the trade, trying to vilify him. But I just don't see it happening. I don't think he's never going to get a chance in baseball again, but I just don't see the Yankees bringing that media storm in a season where they're going all or nothing right now. Like they have to win this year. They want the focus to be on playing baseball. I just don't see it happening.
Donald?
I think it would be too much for the locker room. Look at the other aspect. Remember when we had Domingo Germán? And it wasn't all that long ago, just last year. And they were having to answer, the locker room was having to answer questions about Domingo Germán, domestic assault, that kind of stuff. And they overcame it, and Germán was fine. But it just seems like I think a needless distraction. Where's you have to look at the upside and the downside. The downside to that would be a distraction. Aaron Judge would have to answer questions he wouldn't want to answer to. Same with Garrett Cole. Same with Bauer, and it'll just be a whole thing. I think it takes away from the mission, and the mission's another championship, and instead it'll be talking about off the field stuff. Now, I don't want to comment on the off the field stuff, because I wouldn't want to disrespect the person who's made those allegations. But again, I wouldn't want to disrespect Bauer in case he is in fact innocent and he's been wrongly dragged through the mud. So I'm going to stay away from that aspect. But it is a distraction, and and also the main thing here is he hasn't pitched in the majors in a year. That's at his age. That's a long time. I don't think he would be the same Bowers if he came back. If he was pitching in the majors every year, it's a big gap. So I'm a firm no on that. And I wish him the best, but I'm somewhere else. I don't think it should be the Yankees. I really don't. I don't see the match. I don't see the positives outweighing the negatives. The upside is a fifth starter, but the downside is a whole lot of distraction. I don't see it.
No, I think look, and those are solid points. That was my mindset a week ago. But I'm starting to kind of. It might not be the worst option, but obviously I'm also gonna preface that by saying it's not my first option. So I think that it's gonna be. What do you got here, Jacob? Per Nightingale, Yankees and free agent starter Marcus Strowman continue to have mutual interest. I don't know. which began in November at the GM meetings. Will the Yankees still search for another? I don't think so. Like Rob pointed out earlier, Jacob, it's the Yankees know what's going to happen if they bring this team to, how the fans are going to react. He's got 80% of the fan base blocked on social media. He has a problem. So I don't see Strowman as an option. Just because they might have had a conversation, but I think the Yankees came to their senses and were like, yeah, no, that ain't happening.
Also, it's Nightingale, so like take everything he says with the tiniest grain of salt you possibly can. But
I've got the tweet here. The Yankees and free agent starter mutual Strowman can have mutual interest, but how reliable is Nightingale? Nightingale tends to be unreliable at best.
He's not reliable at all. He said, remember he had Bauer to the Mets because he wanted to be so quick with it. He was dead wrong about the whole situation. It's funny enough, he was the one that kind of put Morosi in his place when Morosi said that Ohtani was on a plane to Toronto, and he was like, no, he's not. This has been the worst offseason I've ever seen with reporting. So I wouldn't trust Nightingale, but then again, the Yankees are desperate for pitching, so it wouldn't surprise me if they've at least had conversations. But I think at the end of the day, they're going to stay away from Strowman just because there's better options out there. If they're going to spend, because Strowman turned down, I think, 20-something million this year. So he might want like a $23-24 million deal, something along those lines. And I don't think the Yankees do that. If they're going to do that, just give Snell 30. Get the better starter. That's an easy choice to me. Or just go make the trade. So they could have conversations, sure, but I think Strowman knows he's going to have to answer questions too. You don't think the media is going to bring that up to him? First question in a Yankee uniform in spring training is so Twitter, right? So did you unblock those fans? And it's just going to be another media shitstorm. That's the same thing with Bauer, and that's what I'm saying about Bauer is it's going to be an immediate, especially in New York, like the media is going to be hounding him every day, and they're going to be hounding the teammates every day. And you're supposed to go into spring with like a feel good mentality, like this is a new year. We got to do so and so to go win a championship. And I'm sure Bauer's going to be all in, but I'm not saying he's going to be this asshole teammate and start fighting people. But yeah, of course he'll be on his best behavior. But like the media, we talk about the New York media all the time. It's going to be an absolute shit show. And it'll be over with once the spring is done. But if Bauer has one bad start in the regular season, it's going to be, do you regret this move? Blah, blah, blah. That's what the media does, and that can cause a stir. And you just don't want to see that in a year that's supposed to be all or nothing.
Yeah, I think the only way that
is so confusing because he also does have that other tweet literally 24 hours before saying that Strowman reached out to the Yankees, informed him he's seriously interested in signing for them, but the Yankees declined to make an offer. So that was 22 plus hours ago. Then a couple hours later, the Yankees have serious interest. Well, bro, you've just absolutely contradicted yourself. So I don't know. I don't know what's real. I think it's more likely that I agree it's more likely the latter. I believe that Strowman has reached out to the Yankees because he doesn't have a job. And the Yankees are like, thanks, but no thanks. That's what my belief is. Because why? I mean, what's the upside? The guy's pitched a 3.95 ERA for the Chicago Cubs. And he's been an absolute toolbox to the media and to the Yankees for years now. I mean, it's really scraping the barrel stuff. I mean, the more that we hear these other names like Bauer and what the Yankees just need to just pony up and pay what Boris is asking for these free agent starters, because this isn't working for me. None of this is working for me.
No, think about it, right? You're absolutely right, because like with Bauer, it's he hasn't pitched since 2021 or something. It's been a couple of years, and you got to deal with the media storm that's going to come with it. With Strowman, he pitched and he was okay last year, but you got to deal with the Twitter storm that's going to come with it. With Blake Snell, you're just getting the NL Cy Young winner, and you're putting him behind the AL Cy Young winner,
who's best friends with the Cy Young winner.
They're really good friends, and Snell's great friends with Judge, and it just seems like a better fit. And you don't have to worry about the whole, is Bauer going to be on his best behavior? Is he going to have to go to court again? Whatever. You don't got to worry about all of that. You don't got to worry about if Strowman's going to unblock people on Twitter and be nice with the fans again. Or is he going to apologize for anything he said about the organization? All you got to do is just go sign Blake Snell or go reunite with Montgomery, and you're good to go. Even with Montgomery, there's some questions that have to be asked. Like, is there any hard feelings? I know he said no, so you don't have to worry there. Just go sign Blake Snell. I said it yesterday on Twitter. Give Snell 150 over 5 or 180 over 6 with an opt-out after year 2 or year 3, and then go trade for Cabrera or go to Seattle and go trade for one of their young starters and go. And just go into the spring and get ready to go try to win a championship. It's so much easier than having to. Is Bauer a fit? Is Strowman a fit? No, Blake Snell's a fit. He's an absolute fit. Go get him. He's the best pitcher available. You got money. You're the New York Yankees. Go sign him. It's a simple thing. And you don't have to worry about trading prospects in the process to go get 2 years of Cease or 1 year of Burns. And there's no question about, is Spencer Jones available or is he not available? Where are they going to have to trade Arias? Who's going to go in this trade? Just go sign the free agent. You have the money to do it. It's a Cy Young winner. A 2-time Cy Young winner, and we're treating him like he's this piece of garbage that just had like a 6 ERA last year. Like, no, he's a really damn good pitcher. Go get him.
That's what I don't understand. I was working under the assumption that Blake Snell didn't want to be a Yankee. I was working under that assumption. I was working under the assumption he was a West Coast guy, so I didn't necessarily have him on the radar. But my ideal scenario was Blake Snell. It's kind of been Blake Snell the entire offseason, because this is a proven guy who's won the Cy Young in both leagues. One of just 7 pitchers all time to have a Cy Young in the AL and NL. This is a serious pitcher right now. I was working the assumption he was wanting to go on the West Coast. When I heard that he's happy to go to the Yankees, then as far as I'm concerned, that's all I needed to hear. Get it done. Because what we're discussing for the last half hour are 2 guys that have 5th starter upside, that have a whole downside of possible just distractions. Like, the only way that you would take on someone with that amount of question marks and possible locker room issues is if they have number 1 potential. Not if they've got 4th or 5th starter potential. That's a non-starter as far as I'm concerned, because this is stupid. And I don't believe the Yankees are entertaining it. I really don't. But we're working on the assumption that they are. That would be dumb. Blake Snell makes all the world. Just pay it. Well, they have the money. They're putting the money aside for Yamamoto. Yamamoto didn't want to come here, so we got that money.
I'm sure Snell. Give him 30. You think he turned down $30 million a year at 31 years old? Especially with Boris, the guy loves opt-outs. If you give him an opt-out after 2 or 3 years, it works out, because the Yankees might get out of the contract after 3 seasons. You might get 3 really good years out of Snell, and then he can walk. And you're like, hey, we get a championship out of it. We only paid the guy $90 million a year in total. I don't think anyone's complaining about that. Plus, he's the best pitcher available. Like, that's the move right there. Now, if the Yankees are very cautious about the money, and I get that, then you got to pony up the prospects. But all of those options to me are better than the possible locker room issues. And yes, Sunil, team chemistry is the word. I wasn't really searching for the word, but thank you. So watch it, Sunil. But it could affect team chemistry. There you go. That's what you could do with Bauer, because you don't know how people feel about it. Remember, the Dodgers teammates, like 2 minutes after everything happened, they wanted nothing to do with him without knowing the facts. They said, screw you. So You think every single person in that locker room is going to be okay with it? I don't think that's going to be the case. They'd be okay with Strowman before they'd be okay with Bauer.
Yeah.
So there is that. That's the big downside with Bauer, is even if he is innocent of everything, which he might be, we don't know yet. There's going to be those people that have uneasy feelings about it. And those conversations are going to come up. And you might get the anonymous player spoke to the media type of thing. And that's just going to be an unnecessary issue. Just go give the money to Blake Snell, who you know is friendly with your two top players. Like, Garrett Cole has apparently signed off on the idea of getting Blake Snell. Blake Snell has expressed interest in coming to the Yankees. He and Judge are good friends. They talk about all the time, making each other joke, like when they're joking around each other, when Judge is in the batter's box, he's always trying to get Snell to laugh. His people bring up his Yankee Stadium stats. Yeah, that's when he was playing the Yankees. He's not going to be playing the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. He's going to be pitching for the Yankees. So to me, the most obvious choice is paying the money for Snell or Monty. Those are two guys that you know what you're getting with. You know what you're getting out of those two guys. The other two, Strowman, you know you're going to get a decent pitcher, but are those not off the field, but there are those other issues. With Bauer, you don't know what you're getting. You simply don't. You might get a guy that's ready for redemption, but who knows if he just gets tagged? We don't know. You don't. And the same thing about Yamamoto. You didn't know what Yamamoto was going to be. Bauer was good in Japan last year, but does that mean after 3 years away from the majors, he's going to be great again? We don't know. So just go get the guy that you know is going to be good. Blake Snell, you know what you're going to get out of him.
So do you think if it's Snell, right? Because one of the things I would give him this amount of years. If you're going to go 30 a year, could you give him 4 years at 30 per with either a play or a team option after year 2? And then if it's a team option in year 2, the player option in 3 or vice versa. Do you think, paying him $30 million a year after the second, you might get 2 years out of him, have a team opt out. We'll do the team opt out first. And see where you're at. What did it cost you? $60 million, on a 2-time Cy Young winner? I think it'd be worth the gamble.
Yeah, I think it's worth it. And Damian brings up a good point about watching the money. But if you look at just based off of like where the numbers are projected, I look at Fangraphs all the time to see where the projected salary is. We have so much coming off the books next year that if you sign Snell for 30 and Soto for 50 a year, you're going to be under 260. So like they're going to be able to get under that third bracket, the tax bracket, I think. So you can absolutely still sign Juan Soto. They had the money to go get Yamamoto, that's what I'm saying is with the projected money they were willing to throw out an extra $30 million to the payroll. They're willing to blow past 300 to get Yamamoto. You might as well just bite the bullet and do the same thing for Snell. Maybe you get him for a little bit less in year 1 or something like that, or do what the Dodgers are doing and give everyone deferred money because it seems to be working for them. But they're going to have enough for Juan Soto because you have so much coming off the books next year with Rizzo and Torres and Canely and Donaldson. $6 million from the buyout comes off. I think Hicks's money comes off in a couple of years. And then 2 years after that is LeMahieu. A couple of years after that is Stanton. They absolutely have the money to get Soto extended, but I do understand what you're saying. They have to be cautious about the money. But if you're willing to give money out for Yamamoto, I don't think Snell would get 30, but if that's what it takes to bring him in, go get the proven guy. Like Mazda said, just go get the proven commodity. That's what we're saying here. You're the New York Yankees. You can afford it.
So Damian says the Yankees also have to watch what they spend with Soto's contract looming. So they need to go the trade route. Let's not forget, the Yankees' income in 2022 was $657 million, right? They make money, right? This whole idea that they need to save money and is overrated, right? Now, the Dodgers have spent well over $1.2 billion in free agency. The Yankees could afford to spend $30 million per year on Blake Snell, plus have money left over to engage in a Soto extension. So I think that we need to move off of this stuff that the Yankees need to save in order to spend here and save a little bit there. No, man. This is the New York Yankees. We make $700 million a year on an average year. We would pay back a Soto extension with merchandise and ticket sales. So, and then you also think about signing a star like Blake Snell. It would attract more attention, and you get even more ticket sales. So sometimes you have to speculate to accumulate, quite honestly. I think that's overrated. All that stuff about saving in order to spend elsewhere. If the Yankees had enough money to go and spend $300+ million on an unproven pitcher, Yamamoto, then they can afford to sign Blake Snell. And we already had Soto on board anyway. So obviously the Yankees can afford to do both because we had Blake Snell, we had Soto's contract already on the books, while entertaining this Yamamoto offer. So obviously we can afford to do both. So let's ease up on that stuff. I really do think the Yankees can afford anything.
No, it's look, this whole thing with the Soto and the money. Look, if they were willing to give Yamamoto that deal, they traded for Soto with the full intention of not letting him leave. So if they're willing to spend the money, I don't think that's the problem. And I don't think there is a problem. But like we said, the Yankees they're never cheap. They might not have spent their money the best way. They might not, they've allocated money to people that they shouldn't have, but they do spend the money. You're not wrong, Li.
It's the It's the NL Cy Young Award winner. We're not talking about some regular run-of-the-mill pitcher. The guy won the Cy Young last year for a reason. It means he was the best pitcher in the National League. And he was going against some good teams. The NL West was pretty good last year. They had the Padres. He pitched for the Padres. The Dodgers were obviously a 100-win team. The Diamondbacks went to the fucking World Series. So we're talking about going against good competition. The NL was really strong last year. So what are we talking? This is not so. Yeah. This is not. Let's give $30 million to Marcus Strowman, or let's give $30 million to Trevor Bauer, who I believe Li said was trying to convince himself to do that last week. Shiny new toy. So we're talking about Blake Snell here, a guy that's done it twice in 2 different leagues. He's won the Cy Young, and I get it. There's the innings and all that stuff. I know the Rockies suck, but I'm talking about the NL in general is pretty stacked.
Yeah.
This is not just some shiny new toy. This is the best pitcher on the market. And he was we're not talking about some run-of-the-mill 4 ERA guy that we're going to overspend for. This is a guy who just won a second Cy Young.
That's what I don't understand. Shiny new toy, dude. I didn't go to Toys R Us looking at a new Batmobile. I mean, honestly, it's freaking the Cy Young Award winner. What are we doing here? Shiny new toy? No, not shiny new toy. As it just said, it's top 7 of all time of someone who's won a Cy Young in both leagues.
No, let's shift.
You hate TJ LeMahieu, and he's one of the few all time that's got a batting title in both leagues. So maybe you're just not happy, Li, with whatever the Yankees acquire or don't acquire. But shiny new toy, man, come on! I'm not in Toys R Us. This is a pretty serious guy right now.
So I want to shift for a quick second. Maddox and Silva, welcome to the Pinstripe Chronicles. Hope you're enjoying the show. But he brings up Matt Chapman. All right, we've been talking about pitching for a while. We have not really talked about any of the other offensive free agents. Matt Chapman's another quality player that really has not been mentioned at all in any of the conversations. What do you guys think of Matt Chapman? where, if not the Yankees, where do you see him ending up?
Well, he ain't going to the Yankees. I can tell you that. We don't need a third baseman. Because some Li, and I'll answer my dad. Why does Li get under everybody's skin? Have you seen his comments? I mean, like, have you seen the guy's comments? Li brings up almost every show. I'm going off at the end on Li Yankee King. That and it quickly answers the question. I don't think we get Matt Chapman. We don't need a third baseman. We just don't. I think he ends up either going back to Toronto or maybe San Francisco, because they still need a bat, and they just got rid of Haniger, and they took on Li's favorite pitcher. So maybe they go after Chapman. I don't know who pays him right now, because he's the second best bat on the market right now, and I haven't even heard his name. So
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe the Giants, maybe Toronto gets him back.
Like, the only avenue I could see him being a Yankee is if they have to trade Peraza to get a quality pitcher. Then that would leave third base open, and you just sign Chapman and let LeMahieu become the utility infielder again.
Just pay LeMahieu to be the third baseman.
I'm trying to figure out a way that you could keep LeMahieu fluid, because we also might need LeMahieu to play some first base to keep Rizzo, because we do have those two guys that we want to keep healthy for the whole year.
Sign Gio.
You just go after Gio? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to lay out
if we spend on anything now, it's got to be pitching. There's no need to go spend money on another bat. So, no. Stop. Stop it. This is why, Dad, that he gets under everybody's skin, because he's been doing this shit for 3 fucking years. That's why he's getting under everybody's skin.
I don't see Chapman. He might just go back to Toronto for all we know. I don't know. It's not going to be the Yankees. Donald, what do you think about Chapman? And do you think there's a reason why he hasn't been really talked about?
I mean, it doesn't make sense now, considering we've already made clear that DJ LeMahieu is our starting third baseman, and we still have Peraza on the books. Fingers crossed. God knows he might get traded in the next 48 to 72 hours. Who knows? But as of right now, Peraza is still on the books. The Yankees have a plethora of infielders and have about 2 reliable starters in the rotation. So they need to freaking work on the rotation, right? I'm not even discussing Matt Chapman. And so we bring in some freaking arms that we trust in the starting rotation. So then we can think about third base. But we've got third base. We've got DJ LeMahieu. And Aaron Boone has said that he's been very impressed with DJ LeMahieu's workouts so far. And then he thinks that DJ LeMahieu is going to have a huge bounce back year. Now, you obviously take it with a pinch of salt, because we know Aaron Boone has propensity for not telling the truth, but in this instance, I kind of believe him. I do think that DJ LeMahieu will come back and have a better year. Let's look at post All-Star break DJ LeMahieu. That was closer to the DJ that we originally extended. So, Anthony Garcia, hey! Super chat. Thank you so much. Salute.
Thank you so much.
Happy New Year.
Wait.
We've got DJ LeMahieu who we're going to work on the assumption that he's going to have a bounce back year. We've got Gleyber Torres covered at second. Doesn't look like we're trading him. We've got Peraza as a super utility guy. We've got Volpe covered at short. There's not really any need to have Chapman in the discussion. Until something changes where one of these names that I've mentioned are no longer on the books, then there's no reason to discuss that. All our attention needs to be going on starting pitching.
No, I have to have the faith in LeMahieu, because I think that his issues with his numbers was the injury, not his age. I think if he's healthy, he'll be fine. What the Yankees did wrong more specifically what Boone did wrong, and we talked about it, was coming out this early to say that LeMahieu's going to be the starting third baseman. That's where everything got all fucked up. It should have just said that DJ's in good health. He's working, because no manager or GM or owner is going to say, when asking about a player, I don't know. We invested this money on this guy. I don't think he's going to work out. No, of course they're going to talk these guys up. What do you expect an organization to say about a player?
I do see that. I do understand what you're saying, but he did have a really good post All-Star break, and to answer the question that David's got here, David Cohen, he's asking, is that because he was fully healthy or because of the change in hitting coach? Maybe it's a bit of both. Maybe it doesn't have to be one or the other, but for sure, he was a much better player. He was hitting with more authority. I think it's because he was healthier. I think it was a lot to do with injuries. The reason why, because didn't he have a toe problem which was affecting his ability to drive through the ball? So he was only really a singles hitter, kind of a slap hitter, and at his age with his lack of speed, that was never going to work. But now that it looks like it's solved, he was generating far more power, and his numbers were there. So I'm expecting that to be much better going into next year. So you can hold me to that. You can bookmark that. I think DJ LeMahieu, I'm not expecting him to be, the DJ that we originally signed, but I expect him to have a solid 270, 280 batting average, and provide quality at bats again. That I'm sure of.
That's fine. But another thing is, remember the last two spring trainings, Gio Urshela was the starting shortstop. They traded for IKF. Last year, IKF was the starting shortstop, and Volpe took the job. So who's to say that if they keep Peraza, let's just say they do, who's to say that he doesn't have a Volpe-like spring and wins the third base job, and DJ becomes the utility player like he should be? Because I've been saying it the entire time that I would prefer Peraza starts, but I would trade him if they don't think he's going to be the guy. If they don't trust him, you should move him. That's my mindset the entire time. But who's to say that he doesn't go out there and absolutely kill it in spring training and forces their hand?
I would love that.
That'd be the best case scenario, right? Because you get speed and contact at the bottom of the order. Be great. And you get your future at third base. Or you move him to second when Arias is ready. Who knows what they do? But who's to say that won't happen? I don't think Boone should have said that he was a starter, but you say one thing in December, that doesn't mean it's going to happen in February. So obviously that can change, because no one thought Volpe was going to make the team out of spring last year, and he did. And no one thought they were going to go fucking trade for Donaldson and IKF, but they did. So anything can change in spring training. So if Peraza is on the team in the spring and he has a good enough spring, he should be the starting third baseman. If they still sit him, or because he got a fourth option now, if they send him down, then we know the Yankees just absolutely can't stand the guy, and they should do whatever. They should trade him, because they're just ruining the kid's career. But if he has a great spring, start him. And that's the simplest thing. Instead of, trying to jump through 17 hoops to make two separate trades to get rid of DJ LeMahieu's contract, take a big contract and trade that away just to start Peraza, you can just start Peraza. And that's the easiest answer out of all of them.
Yeah, that's a good point too, Damian. Look, Peraza's they're yankifying them, Donald. You know what I'm saying? Here we go again. Rinse and repeat year after year. There's always that one player that they screw over. But Maddox brings up this point here. Remember when Boone said Urshela was the starting shortstop, and then he was traded 3 days later. Yeah. So you can't put a lot of stock into what these managers say.
Facts.
And I want to bring up this comment also here from William Reed. What's going on, William? Welcome to the Pitch Strike Chronicles. He goes, the perfect rest of the offseason for me is to sign Snell short term, trade for Bieber, and sign Jordan Hicks and Wandy. I would take that. I would. I would switch out. Well, I would switch out Bieber for Cabrera. I think Bieber's it's just going to they're going to ask for too much.
Well, if you trade for Bieber and you sign Snell, you're adding like a good $45 million to the payroll. And then you sign Hicks and Wandy, you're adding a good like 55, 60 million with those moves. So if they sign Snell, any trade they make is going to be for a cheap guy. Like Li mentioned Patrick Sandoval earlier in the chat. He's an arbitration pitcher. I don't think they would do that, but that's an option. They're going to go after someone that's on arbitration and getting a cheap contract if they get 2 starters. They might just sign one.
You know, guy comment by trying to pull at your heartstrings there, Rob.
Keep doing it. keep speaking into existence. Like I've been trying my damnedest to get this to fucking manifest this.
You got me all in on him.
I can't. I think it's been a year worth of talking about Edward Cabrera at this point. I want this guy in New York. He's 5 years of control at 25. It's going to cost you nothing, and he's got the stuff to be electric, as we just saw in the comment there. Yeah, I've seen a couple of his starts too, live. I love Edward Cabrera. I think he'd be really good.
Yep, and you know it keeps coming up, and David brings it up again. You know, there's more money coming off the books. So look, the spending the money is not the issue, right? We started saying this earlier. You know, they've never been able to properly spend the money. This year, they're trying to be more calculated on how they're spending and what positions they're spending it on, and it's going to take time. There's still a month before pitchers and catchers report. They're going to see a lot of, and Joan brought it up in the chat earlier. Friday is the deadline for the arbitration. So I think after this weekend is when you're going to start seeing more trades come into fruition. And we're going to have a better idea of what team budgets are in a more realistic way.
And I mean, Cabrera is going to cost you nothing financially because he's on pre-arbitration. So his payroll number is going to be nothing. He's going to cost you like Peraza and a couple of more pieces. But I still think you can make a swap of need for need, and they have a bunch of lefty relievers. We need one. I said on Maz's chat last night, if you give them Canely for Tanner Scott, a couple of 1-year relief pitchers, that's a swap. So I think it makes sense. That's why I keep bringing him up, because we have what they need. They have what we need. Let's make a deal type of situation.
Yeah, that's why we've been heavily involved with Luzardo as well, the Marlins. One or the other, well, you're looking at a win as far as I'm concerned, but it's the cost that goes the other way, which is kind of worries me. It was rumored that Spencer Jones. I don't think that Spencer Jones would be involved, but we have lost a significant number of assets in order to make the Soto deal. So I am worried about what would go the other way in another trade for another star pitcher. But to go back to William Reap's comments, I mean, you kind of nailed it there, man. With I want Jordan Hicks badly. I think he'd be a phenomenal closer. Bring Wandy back. I think he was so trusted, so I definitely agree with that. Blake Snell's definitely my number one option, and Bieber I could see having a bounce back year because of the whole Guardians and Matt Blake connection, and also because of the fact that Matt Blake is a sinker ball specialist. So I could definitely see that being something that the Yankees would want to explore. And if Bieber wasn't asked to be a number 2 starter, I think I'd feel even more comfortable about that, because that's really my only kind of drawback. If Bieber was asked to be our 1B, I'm not sure about that. But if Bieber was asked to be a 3rd starter, then yeah, that's a really good deal. So I think you're onto something there, man.
Yeah, and it was rumored that the Marlins, when it comes to Luzardo, that Spencer Jones is on the top of their list for him. So for me, that's a no, because I don't think that's a caliber player I would move Jones for. I don't think Luzardo's an option.
No, and the thing is, everyone's kind of like, why is everyone want Spencer Jones for? Oh, Dylan Cease, he's not that good. This pitcher, Luzardo's not that good. Look at what these pitchers are making in free agency, and look at what Dylan Cease is going to make in total in 2 years of arbitration. Look at what Luzardo's going to make in 3 years of arbitration. It's nothing compared to what these guys are making in free agency, and they are worse than Cease and Luzardo by miles. So that's why the asking price is going to be high for Dylan Cease. I don't think they're going to get what they want. They ain't getting Jackson Holiday from Baltimore, and Jackson Holiday is 3 times the prospect that Spencer Jones is. I'm sorry, it's the truth. And they're not going to get Spencer Jones for him. They're going to get a lot, though, because you're paying very minimal price for a good pitcher in a market where bad pitchers are getting paid $14 million. So Dylan Cease making $10 million this year is a bargain compared to paying Manaea 14. That's why that's why the asking price is so high for a guy like Cease and a guy like Luzardo. Will they get what they're asking for? Probably not, because we saw the Padres didn't get everything they wanted for Soto. Those prices will come down, but especially in this market, you got to ask high, especially for 2 years of control at a very team-friendly cost. 3 years of control for Luzardo, and Luzardo's their number one this year because Alcantara's hurt. So they should be asking for the moon for him because they're a team that can go to the playoffs again. Marlins got a pretty good team. They need a bat, though. They need a shortstop specifically. That's where Peraza comes in.
Yeah. Yeah, I see AJ Puck in the conversation. He's a guy that we talked about in the beginning of the offseason, with getting Cabrera and Puck in a package. But like the names that are being thrown out, it's not going to happen. Not for one player. There's no way. So it's another. They're not moving Ben Rice. I doubt that. If they are going to move any of their catching depth, it's going to be Royfett or Navarez, depending on the years of control that we're trading for. So I don't see Ben Rice going anywhere. I think they're going to I think they're going to move Ben. They're going to move Rice to first base when Rizzo's done. That's my prediction.
He wants to give up 4 players for a relief pitcher, and one of them is Clayton Beater, who right now is our projected 5th starter. So, I mean, you're talking about not giving up depth, yet you're giving up 4 players for a relief pitcher. I've seen it. I've seen it all. Now I've seen it all. And yeah, this is the end of the show. Here we go again. Just the fucking clockwork with you. I don't get it. I'm gonna stop myself. I'm trying to be a better person in 2024, but Jesus fucking Christ, you make it so easy. 4 pitchers, not 4 pitchers, but 4 players for a relief pitcher. Are you?
Right. Let's do it all.
I don't know about this trade though, but it is funny. Trade LI for Jared.
Jared as a Yankee fan would be funny.
He's a pretty broken Red Sox fan right now, so.
Oh, God.
By the way, what do you guys think of this Teoscar Hernandez thing? So he signed in a 1-year deal of $23 million, and what is it? $8 million of it is deferred to 2030 to 2039. Are the Dodgers trolling Major League Baseball right now?
They have to be. They're doing it every year. Every signing, everybody they sign is getting deferred money. Why is nobody else doing this? I don't get it. Why is nobody else doing what the Dodgers are doing? They're not the only team in baseball. Somebody else do this.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. You're at, yeah. That's all they do is when I saw that I was like, "There's no way he's getting $23 million this year. Something's up with that contract." And then 5 minutes later, Passan puts it out. Oh, it's deferred. Of course, it fucking is. But why wouldn't it be deferred? Yamamoto's contract is $5 million this year. Of course, it is. Ohtani, they're paying like $10 million total for Ohtani and Yamamoto this year. It's unbelievable what they're doing and why nobody else is doing it.
See, I'm with Silver on this one. I think the Dodgers are going to cause a lockout.
Yeah, they are.
I think that look, there's going to be major changes in the next CBA. as far as how contracts are structured. Because it's almost like, there was the joke made in the chat last night, Rob. I don't know if you were still there for it. How the Dodgers are either going for the championship or bankruptcy. It hasn't been decided yet. Because they're gonna have so much money tied up for decades.
It's nuts.
And it's getting out of control.
To 2030, for Christ's sake.
The thing is, it's allowed. There's nothing in the rule book that says you can't do it.
About.
So they're just doing what they're allowed to do to continue to save money. So now they can go get Josh Hader and get their closer and somehow still be under 297. I think. Like I guarantee you, if they sign Hader, it's going to be for like $6 million this year, and then it's deferred to like 2097 or whatever nonsense they're going to pull. It's unbelievable. They're the only team that is doing it. Damian, you're right. They're running laps around the league. Nobody else is thinking about this. I'm not saying I want everybody to do this, but like, we appreciate you being here, Maddox. But my God, why is nobody else doing it?
You're right. They're treating it like it's a down payment on a house. That's what it's like. Mortgage payments for Teoscar Hernandez on a 1-year deal. Like, explain to me why it has to be deferred to 2039. What are we doing here?
It's just crazy.
Doing a 1-year deal, he's doing down payments for the next 15 freaking years. Like, so, I mean, I'm just gonna be surprised what's gonna happen in 2039 when they're going to free agency. We're still got that money tied to Teoscar Hernandez, which we signed 20 years ago.
I hope I'm around in we'll be around in 2039. But you know what? This show, if 2039, whenever that rolls around, we're going to do a reunion on the 2039 the Dodgers payments that they're going to have to give out like a combined like $80 million to these guys. It's nuts. 2039. How old's Ohtani going to be? What is that, 15 years from now? He's going to be like a 45-year-old man or something like that. There's another $68 million in my bank account. That unbelievable. That is.
NFA
I don't know.
market
They have
calendar.
to close this loophole, man, because it's a joke, and it's gonna keep going. They're gonna keep doing it.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have to close this loophole. I wouldn't be surprised if. It's definitely gonna cause another lockout. But don't be surprised if Major League Baseball look into this over this coming year, because they had what was the reaction to Cohen going nuts? They brought in the Cohen tax, so there's gonna be a reaction to this, because they can't have situations where someone signs on a 1-year deal and is deferred for the next 20 years. That's just absolutely mind-blowing stupidity. So they're gonna have to close it, but no one else is doing it. So maybe they're just gonna be like, hey, if the Dodgers want to do it, hey, that's on them. But I don't know. It's no good for the league, in my opinion. It really isn't. It's just odd. It's just weird. It's a terrible way to do business. It's an awful way to do business.
Especially for Teoscar Hernandez. Like, I can understand deferring Ohtani because he's such a special player. But this is Teoscar Hernandez. You're going to be paying him till 2039. This is nuts. I'm just laughing. They did everything to get Yamamoto, but they have to. They absolutely cap the deferred payments, but they're not going to put a salary cap in.
Not that there's a salary,
deferred cap that. Maybe you can be limited to like 2 deferred contracts per year. I don't know. Something's got to be done about it. I think it's fine, but because I'm just laughing about the whole situation, like, because nobody else is doing this. It's like, of course, the Dodgers are deferring money. But it's going to cause this huge uproar, this huge argument next discussion. I don't want another lockout, but if we do get one, you know exactly who to blame this time around.
Yeah. The next CBA is in 2026. Look, the Dodgers, they worked within the system. They negotiated really well. there's support. It came. Supposedly this was all Ohtani's idea for the deferred money, and that gave the. That's what sparked the Dodgers to be like, well, if he would do it, maybe other players will do it, and they found the players that are willing to do it. If the Yankees were doing this, we'd be celebrating it. Wow, look how smart they are. But I would still have the same concerns.
Not me.
How smart is it? It's smart to do it for Ohtani, not for Teoscar Hernandez.
No.
Well, that's why when I heard it for Ohtani, I'm like, God, that's the only player I saw that working out for because, it's Ohtani. We had said, in the beginning of the year, maybe even last offseason, I had said Ohtani's going to get he's going to have the most unique contract that we've ever seen. And he did. And then they followed it up with another unique contract for Yamamoto, and then another unique contract for Hernandez, and who knows who else is coming.
I'll tell you who's happiest about this is the Mets, because now it's like Bobby Bonilla. This ain't shit. The Bobby Bonilla stuff isn't anything compared to what the Dodgers are going to be doing. Everyone makes fun of the Mets every year when Bonilla gets his $1 million a year. That ain't nothing compared to what the Dodgers are doing. The Mets are so ecstatic right now. They're like, keep doing it. Keep deferring money.
And then Brian brings up that the Nationals are still paying Scherzer for the deferred.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not – we've never seen it to this caliber before. It's not like it's something that – this new invention that they figured out. The deferred contracts have been around. Like we keep saying, Bonilla. They're working within the system. I just think having so many – like maybe, you can only defer one pitcher and one offensive player per year. You can't have, out of your 40-man roster, you can't have 30 of them on deferred contracts. That's where I think, Elijah's right. There's got to be a cap there somewhere.
Don't give them any ideas because they might try it.
I don't want to give the Dodgers any more ideas than anything they're already doing. I feel for the GM in 15 years' time. when he gets to the offseason, he's like, right, where are we? We need to rebuild this roster. What we've got. How much time to this guy that played 97 games 15 years ago?
That's going to be a conversation. That's it.
Who's Teoscar Hernandez? Oh, this is a guy that played 20 years ago. But we went on this crazy spending spree
for 3 players.
So yeah, we played 97 games, but we gave him a bunch of deferred money to 15 years later. So yeah, I feel for that GM because that's going to be an interesting. Because it's not going to be the same GM, guarantee you.
No, that guy's going to come in.
39, like cars will be like flying in the air by then, who knows? And then God knows where baseball will be in 2039. But hey, they're going to be paying for a guy that played 1 year. Insane. I give up.
Yep. But it's for as slow as it's been for the Yankees. Yeah, the all season overall has had some interesting conversation being brought.
Yeah, maybe
he'll still be bringing up Popeye in 2039, so there's something we can look forward to.
Yeah, I hope this works for the rest of society. That would be fantastic. I'm gonna buy this now, and I'll pay you in 15 years' time. How about that?
I'm gonna go buy a Hershey bar, and I'll defer you a penny every year for the next 125 years. It's ridiculous. It's 1 year, and you're gonna be paying him till 2039. Yeah, and Oppenheimer, he'll be talking about that.
Yep. But it's getting comical. I don't want to say ridiculous because, like you said, they're within the rule, but it's getting laughable about how many. But that is going to wrap things up for us on this Monday. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this out, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell a stranger on the corner. Just remember, tune in tonight, midnight, Pinstripe After Dark with Chris, The Flash, Sunil, and I. It should be interesting to say the least. But we have We hope you guys have enjoyed the show. We've enjoyed hanging out with you guys. So, as I always say, wear those pinstripes of pride and play on.